Now, do you worry about how your children might get on after you die? Well, what about those of you that have children with complex needs? One County Down mum of 2 children with special needs says she's so worried that she and her husband would rather outlive them. Zoe McCulloch and her husband Alan have 2 children with Down syndrome and another child who has no special needs. She's been speaking to Good Morning Ulster reporter Helen Jones.
Shoes in your room. Put them away. Lucy.
Home from school, Lucy, who's 9, and her younger brother, 7-year-old Archie.
Alexa, turn on Archie's lamp.
Jay, who's 10, isn't home yet.
In school.
Is he still in school? Are you older than Jay?
Yeah.
No, you're not.
I'm 9, my birthday.
Together, her and Jay, they're inseparable. He's not here, obviously, he's at school. But usually when he is here, the 2 of them are glued to one another, and Archie seems happy enough with that because he doesn't really have to interact with the 2 of them. He could become quite frustrated quite often because they don't necessarily play how he would play.
Alexa, play Better Days.
Is it difficult having the 2 of them, both with Down syndrome?
Probably no more difficult than having 3 children in general. Obviously they have medical needs. There's different complications with regard to that, and there's appointments and things. But I wouldn't say Lucy's probably my most problematic child. She's very stubborn.
And of course, I mean, you're used to it. You talk about your 2 sisters. Tell me a wee bit about them and how that has been for you during your life.
So I totally understand where Archie comes from a lot of the time because I was him. Both of them have dyspraxia. They both have epilepsy as well. But growing up, it could have been quite lonely. So I get that Archie sometimes needs my attention or he needs Alan's attention, and he has his own things and his own friends. But at the same time, he's very considerate and very empathetic towards both Jay and Lucy. And empathetic to me. He'll come in and he'll be like, do you want a hug? You know, he's a very, very nice child.
I can call it in my mummy, Brandon, my daddy right here.
You coloured this in for Mummy?
Yeah.
The boardwalk. It's very nice, Lucy. Well done. Look at this, all in the lines. Yeah?
I call it in the water.
You coloured in the water? There's a lot of trials and tribulations. There's a lot more families out there like us.
I have sticky hands.
You've got sticky hands?
Yeah.
Can you get a wipe, please? We would prefer that we outlive them. That is literally the crux of it.
You and Alan, your husband, would outlive 2 children?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because the burden of care shouldn't be Archie's. He's a sibling, not a carer. You know, they're not his responsibility.
Alexa, play We Don't Talk About Bruno.
It's a hard truth, I think. And not everybody will agree with it. And that's entirely the point of having an opinion. I know people won't necessarily agree with this, but this is my opinion, and ultimately this is our life. And this is what we live with day in, daily, and I know what's coming. And I don't necessarily want that for my children without me around. Here, tell me this. What'd you have for lunch today?
I had tulip on an egg.
Bolognese. You know, it's entirely up to us. We have good family support, we have good friend support, and I know me personally, I have a group of mums from school. They're my sounding board. But we're all mums in the same situation. We all have children that go to a special school. We all know the trouble and the trials and the tribulations and everything else that goes along with it.
Have you spoken to them about this specifically?
Oh, they know my opinion.
What are their opinions? They've got children at special schools as well.
Some are for, some are against. But again, it's entirely personal opinion and personal view. I know for us, this is just what it is. Lucy?
Yeah.
Why is Barbie all wet?
Bath.
Well, it doesn't make it any easier. At the end of the day, we'll have lost a child, you know, and that's not easy for anyone. But yeah, we'll know we've done enough. We'll know that we've provided that care and they've been safe and happy and loved right until the very last second.
That was Zoe McCulloch and her husband Alan are speaking to our reporter Helen Jones. Listening to that is Richard Mead, who's Director of Carers Northern Ireland. Richard, thanks so much for being with us. This is an incredibly difficult subject, but Zoe's story, how common is this concern of what happens to children in later life?
Good morning. Yes, I mean, there are 22,000 parents in Northern Ireland who are caring for children with disabilities or health conditions, and carers and I, we know that not being there to care for them in the future is a really sort of very serious fear that they have. I think I've seen surveys that suggest up to 2/3 of parents who care for children have that fear. And that's why we need to see much greater support and plans put in place to give parents the confidence that their children will be looked after when they can no longer care for them or when they die.
How does that work? I mean, you heard what Zoe said there. She said, as they get older, I know what's coming, was her view on it. And she genuinely believed that they would be better off not going through that.
Well, I think the problem that we see is that there just is not the health and social care system in place that can provide the support that so many people need. We see it all the time. And I think this is why we need to see real investment in our health and social care services. We know that the government is looking at a new reform of adult social care, and those reforms need to be absolutely radical, and they need to invest in social care. They need to invest in the workforce. They need to put in place a system that can give parents confidence that when they can no longer care or when they die, that their children will be looked after. And actually planning is a huge part of that. Again, we know that 3/4 of parents actually have no long-term plan for their children. And what we need to do and see more of is conversations with social care teams and social workers to put in place plans that might give parents confidence that their children will be looked after as they go into adulthood and even older age themselves.
So I take it there's just not adequate support out there at the moment. I mean, she talks about the trials and tribulations of bringing up 2 disabled children, that huge worry that Archie, who doesn't have any particular needs, would be left to look after them, and that's not fair on him. So what could a family in their position do?
I think speaking to social work teams and speaking to the support that is available and understanding and putting in place a plan that could potentially help them. And I think it's really important as well to think about the people that are providing the care at the moment. Zoe, as a mum, and her husband are providing that care as well. Unpaid family carers provide huge amounts of support for people they're looking after, often well in excess of 50 hours. And we need to make sure that carers themselves get the support and they're identified and that they get help to provide that care for as long as they want. But what also Zoe is right about is that caring should be a choice. It shouldn't be just put upon family members and told that they have to do it because the state isn't in a position to provide that care. If people choose to care, then they should have absolutely all the support that they can to provide that caring role. But if they choose not to, then the state should be able to provide the care and support that families need so that they can live well as possible, as independently as possible, and at a good quality of life.
Thanks very much for talking to us about this, Richard. Richard Mead, who's Director of Carers Northern Ireland. If this is something that you're interested in and affected by, there's actually a consultation going on at the moment. So it's the Northern Ireland Adult Social Care Consultation. And people, they need really people to take part, raise the issues, to plan ahead, to manage it in the future. So if this does affect you, you can go online at the Northern Ireland Government website, and it's the Northern Ireland Social Care Consultation.